Hey, my loves. So, quick little caveat at the start of this episode to mention that as I've been wont to do more than usual lately, I'm throwing a wild card in the mix, and this isn't my usual kind of episode format, although it's becoming more and more common here on the Labia Lounge. So, I wanted to do a Tub Talks installment with my darling friend Hannah, who was visiting from Perth, but it was a really stinking hot day, so it was too hot for a bath. So, we went to the public pool, and I took my little portable mic and we hung out and we had the first part of a massive conversation, which is what you're listening to now. So this is just part one. There's going to be three parts to this sort of informal Tub Talks-esque episode. And I'm just going to release them all at the same time so that there's no sort of lack of continuity. And if you do feel like just binging straight through it, you can. And then I'm going to have a little break over Christmas because hot damn, it's pretty tricky to keep up with these weekly episodes sometimes. And I've got better shit to do right now. I want to be getting out in the sun, and I'm going to be hitting up a couple of festivals and trying to get some Labia Lounge content there. And I'll sort of be just roaming out in the wild for the next month or so. So yeah, I'll just release like a 3-part epi for you now to keep you going, give you something to chew on until I come back atchya in Jan. But to give you some context for this conversation, we start out talking about sort of experiences that we've had with sexual harassment, with Hannah and her friends messing with dudes on chat roulette or chatterbait or one of those sort of like anonymous chat websites back in the day when they were teenagers, and just confronted with penis after penis popping up on screen, and how they sort of turned the tables so that they took the power back. We talk about different confrontations we've had with men on the street or on a dance floor, and Hannah's really sassy kind of powerful interventions or ways of navigating that I found very tickling and also super helpful, so that we've kind of got it in the bank, just locked and loaded in case we find ourselves in that situation anytime soon, because sometimes we go into fawn or fight or flight or freeze when confronted with sort of sexually aggressive people, and often think of all the things that we wished we'd said and done afterwards when we're sort of walking away and when our heart has stopped beating or our nervous system has calmed down enough to kind of think of a witty retort or an empowering way of dealing with it that we couldn't do at the time. So this conversation's kind of about that. And then we do start dipping into some stuff around neurodivergence and Hannah's experience living with autism and ADHD, and how that kind of comes into their ability to navigate social situations, from learning how to mask and how to observe people and kind of pick out their strengths and weaknesses and how to kind of approach them in a way that's going to get the result that you want. So it's a really interesting chat, and we sort of end up splitting it and then heading back to my place once the weather turns. And then when it gets a bit stormy and rainy that evening, we do jump in the bath and we do a Tub Talks, and that's going to be the next episode. And in that one, we talk fully about the neurodivergent and the journey Hannah's been on with that, and that I've been on. And it's a really juicy, interesting chat, super beneficial to everyone, I think, whether or not you have or suspect you have some sort of neurodivergence going on with yourself. It's probably around you in your life as well. So yeah, and then we finally wrap up with a third part that's a pretty quick one just before Hannah has to catch a flight. We really squeezed every bit of juice out of this one day that we got to spend together. But we wind up talking about Hannah's miscarriage and abortion experiences. So there's a lot in store. There's some fucking hilarious moments. There's some really meaty chats. There's some really vulnerable shares, and Hannah's so open and generous with getting pretty real about how their mental health has been affected by having the brain that they have. So yeah, I'd love for you to stick with me all the way through this one. But yeah, that's it from me now. I hope you've enjoyed this year's season, and I'm excited to bring you a new season of the Labia Lounge in the new year. Yeah, and that's it. That's it, I think. I'm going to leave that. That's a fucking pretty lengthy intro. But I feel like after 3 years of bringing out pretty sick podcast episodes, I can kind of get away with being a bit indulgent with my prelude. I'm like a 90s video clip where there's like an entire narrative that goes on at the start and sets up the song and then launches into some fucking hip hop ass shit. Anyway, okay, that's it. Signing off. Enjoy this episode.
This program is brought to you by Pussy Magnets.
Put a minge on your friend with a pussy magnet.
Welcome, my lovely lumps. Or should I say lovely labs? I'm so thrilled to have you here in the Labia Lounge. We're going to yarn about all things sexuality, womanhood, relationships, intimacy, holistic health, and everything in between. Your legs. Ooh, can't help myself. Anyway, we're going to have vag loads of real chats with real people about real shit. So buckle up. You're about to receive the sex ed that you never had and have a bloody good laugh while you're at it. Before we dive in, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. It's an absolute privilege to be living and creating dope podcast content in Naarm, and I pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, if you're ready, let's flap and do this. Oh my God, is there such thing as too many vagina jokes in the one intro? Whatever, it's my podcast. I'm leaving it in.
Don't panic, you're not broken. Your sex education was a piece of shit. Get your flaps out and pull up a couch. It's the Labia Lounge.
Okay, so we try down here. It's definitely recording this time.
Okay. Was it not recording?
It might not have been. I couldn't find the file to play it, so
Okay.
maybe not. Maybe not, because you have to press the record button twice.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe I'd forgotten to do that. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Anyway. Okay, let's
Testing
just
here.
see.
Tested sitting up. We're sitting pretty far apart here.
Yeah.
It's detecting us.
It'd be
here, I'll
great if I didn't
surprised.
have to hold it and I could just do that.
This would be insane. I think this might be asking too much.
Ooh, I don't know.
We'll see.
All right. Hey gang, just before we jump into this episode, I wanted to offer you an opportunity to access my new mini course for free before I start charging for it in future. It's for people with vulvas and it's quick to complete. It's all about demystifying the female body and pleasure anatomy and getting some basic fundamentals to understand your body better. It's called Pussy Pleasure Secrets, Your Roadmap to Bedroom Bliss. You can grab it on the freebies page of my website or in the show notes. It's a great little free resource to kind of dip your toe in or act as a bit of a taster for my work. So if you've ever been curious about this sort of thing and you just don't know where to start, or you want a really quick, easy, accessible, non-threatening way to get the ball rolling and start working on this stuff, this is a great place to start. Dude, you know you've been watching too many like crime shows when you think there's a fucking severed finger on the floor of the swimming pool dunnies. And it's just a bit of bark.
That's amazing. That's so funny.
Anyway, all right. What do you got? Hit me.
Okay, so we were just chatting about those like chat sites, right? Like we were talking about Omegle and Chatterbait, which is funny considering that you don't know anything about the internet, and somehow you.
I mean, yeah, it's because of my work. Like clients will talk to me about stuff,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, and then I'll look up what Chatterbait is.
Yeah.
Also, just different age groups and stuff. Like I'm not a child of the internet, so I don't know about this shit. You know?
Yeah,
I'd never heard of
totally.
Omegle.
Totally. Yeah, like you just missed that window.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't miss that window. And so when I was in high school, we would go on these sites. And the story I'm going to tell, like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I actually think it's, like, really fucked up in a lot of ways, which we can discuss.
Totally.
But I kind of feel like I want to talk about ultimately being able to, like, flip around a power dynamic, like, as someone who's, like, subject to being squished under the thumb of the patriarchy. Having moments where you feel like you can flip that power dynamic and, like, feel kind of awesome.
Okay, cool.
But somehow it's going to relate to Omegle and it's gross. So anyways, in year 10, I had this like group of 4 friends and we would always have sleepovers, and one of our favorite things to do was go on these sites and chat to people. Because like sometimes you just chat to boys that are like your age-ish and you be silly and then you hang up after 5 minutes and it's
So
cute.
like chat roulette?
Yeah,
or?
like chat roulette, Omegle, like, there was Iden, which was like hidden but without the H. So the H is gone, so it was called Iden.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah, they were like all different.
What? Okay,
Yeah,
crazy.
And it was kind of fun, but honestly, a lot of the time, you would literally just like hit go or whatever. You'd get assigned someone, and it would be like someone's dick, like in front of the camera, and they were just like masturbating to, which is now the disturbing part, right? Because I was in year 10, so I was 14.
Yeah.
People like masturbating to 14-year-old girls. I think there's something really fucked up about that. And I mean, we didn't go on to...
What do you mean?
Of course, no, of course it's like super fucked up. But I mean, we knew at the time that it was fucked up, but we wanted to like take the power back.
Yeah.
So we invented this game where we had to shame them and start a timer and see how long they would stand it and how long it would take them to like feel too ashamed and hang up on us. Or they were like, who knows, maybe they wanted to see some titties or something. But we would basically just shame them as hard as we could.
Like as in like little dick shame them, or like you're masturbating in front of a child right now? How do you feel about
a mix.
that?
We tried all different strategies. We tried
probably like created a whole bunch of like kinks where like dudes wanted people to like small dick shame them.
Maybe.
Because it was just so hot that time that those teenage girls.
Who knows? And
look at these guys.
Oh my god, they're so
There's
cute.
like multiple little pods of, or whatever the fuck you call, like duck families, of varying sized babies. Like I feel like we've seen one that's like fresh out of the egg.
Yeah.
Like just earthside, and then those real cute little fluffy ones, and then those are like teenagers. They're very elegant, aren't they?
They look cool. Cool hair.
Dope. I love how many ducks there are at this. All right, anyway, yeah, okay, I'm loving this. I'm living for this.
Yeah. So
what sort of shit would you say to them?
Well, we would say like what you said, like
Could he see your video?
Yeah, you share video,
Okay.
and their video would usually just be like, on the penis. Like you wouldn't see the person, you'd just see the penis.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can't tell who you're talking to. And so we would say stuff like, I don't know, like what you were saying, like you're a, disgusting human being. Are you really, spending all of your time alone in your house masturbating while little girls like look at you on a video camera? Like what kind of gross person are you? We'd say shit like that, but then we'd say stuff like just really fucked up stuff. Like we would just say like as fucked up things as we could think of. Like
E.g.
I don't know, like we around the time we were like, do you remember in high school when like dead baby jokes were like a thing?
Yes.
We would just do dead baby jokes while they were masturbating.
Wow,
and, like,
dead baby jokes were massive. Was
right?
that in a movie or something that all got us onto it?
I don't know. I don't know
Fuck.
where it came from.
I used to love a dead baby joke.
Yeah. Do you want to hear one?
Go on.
This was one of my favorite ones that I'd always
Please.
pull out when we were shaming
Oh
these
my god,
guys.
cannot wait.
What's the difference between a trampoline and a dead baby?
One of them's bouncy when you stomp on it or something.
You take your shoes off before you jump on a trampoline.
Whoa.
Okay, imagine you're a 40-year-old man, you're masturbating, and then you hear that joke from like a group of like
Little high-pitched voices.
Little high-pitched voices,
Oh my
14-year-olds.
God.
We'd say shit like that. Or we would shame them, we would body shame them. Like we would just say like, body shaming kind of stuff. Like,
I mean,
your penis
that
looks
was
like a...
really in vogue in the 90s
Like, why do you have
and
like such ugly warts like on your penis? Like we would just make shit up to like make them feel really self-conscious, or like I don't know. We would just try and fuck with them, and most of the time it would work. But every once in a while you would get someone who, like you're saying, obviously they kind of liked it or didn't mind it, or they were like, I'm getting attention of some kind and that's all I need. And they would like kind of just go for it, and they like wouldn't want to hang up. And as soon as it got past,
Did they ever get their faces in after that, or it just stayed dick masturbating? They
no,
just
it's
kept
just
masturbating.
penises. But the
Do
thing,
they talk to you?
No, and there was definitely like a certain, I don't remember exactly what it was like, but So we would just kind of sense a vibe of like, oh no, this person's actually
Into
like
this,
kind of
yeah.
into it, and we would just hang up. So like sometimes we did hang up, but we mainly just went on there to like try and fuck with these guys who were on there thinking it was kind of cool to masturbate to teenage girls.
Because like, so...
Which in itself, I don't even know what to think about it, right? Because I think part of the reason we liked about it is because it was like, ooh, it's kind of like a little bit exciting, right? To like do this thing was like kind of not allowed. Like, I don't know if our mums probably knew the websites existed, but I don't think they knew what we were doing.
No,
you know?
God, no.
So I kind of think about it and I'm like, ooh, like, I don't know what I think about that as because you're kind of in one way fulfilling their fantasy, or you're kind of playing into this weird cycle of fresh young girls who are going on these sites. I don't know. I don't know if I like that idea. But also it was fucking fun to mess with people. And I loved doing that. And I still love messing with people, but I don't go on Omegle anymore. So I just do it in other ways. Which is the story I was going to tell you the other day, which I think really reminds me of this. Which was,
when we're in the Uber?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well done. Good memory.
So me and my friend Steph went to like this emo night, and we dressed up really emo, and it's like an emo rock like club night, and just like all the classic songs at the end of the night, because we were looking, you know, when you dress up, like you get attention, right?
Yeah.
So we were walking out of this place, we'd had a sick night, but we walked past these two guys and they started saying like just the classic provocative things of like, oh girls, where you going, you're looking so good, like do you want to come over here, like give us a smooch, or like give us a, you know, like that classic thing.
Oh my God.
Anyways, I love opportunities like this because it's an amazing chance to fuck with people when this shit happens to you.
Oh my God, what do you do?
So I stopped when they were like, oh, hey girls. And if you actually stop and you say to someone like, hey, what's up? People are like, whoa. They don't actually expect you to respond, because then it's like, now they have to think of what to say next, right? They don't actually want to engage with you. They just want to like yell shit at you.
Swing their dicks around.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So then they amped it up, and that's when they were like, oh, like you want to cuddle, or you want to, I don't remember what they said.
I doubt they said, do you want to cuddle?
No, they were saying like, I don't know. I'm sure they didn't say that. I'm sure they didn't. But they were saying like, you know, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. No, sorry, I'm heckling
Do you
you.
want to cuddle?
And I'm just...
No, they wouldn't have
just
said
can't
that.
imagine it.
I think maybe like you want to smooch, or like they said, they honestly, they
Give
were
us a pash?
this is the, maybe something like that, but they were pretty lame, to be honest. Like they weren't like cool guys.
Oh my God.
I mean, all these guys are lame, let's be honest. But anyways, they were
Yeah.
lame. They were trying to be provocative.
Oh my God.
And because I stopped and talked to them, they were trying to be more provocative. They were like amping it up. And then I was like, oh, like, I don't know what I said. I was like, nah, I don't really want to pash, but how about you give me something? You want to take your shirt off and like show me what you got under there? And you should have seen both of their faces. They were like, what the fuck? They actually didn't know what to say. And I think one of them shook his head and was like, I don't know, and they ended up kind of confusedly walking away, and it was the most satisfying thing. It was the most satisfying thing ever.
That's so good.
And it really reminds me of this like Omegle thing, because it's like a gross situation where a man's preying on you, and then somehow you shame them out of the social interaction, and they are the one that leaves.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, it's definitely the way to go. Like, even in, I mean, yeah, fuck, where did I hear it talked about recently? It's a bit of a strategy, not that exact thing, but just like if someone's, oh yeah, it was in the context of like, if you've just got a fucking probo, and by that I mean a problematic, like family member or relative or like fucking partner of a friend or something, and they're just saying some probo shit, problematic. Just in case you didn't catch that the first time. This is some new abbreviation I'm introducing to the podcast for the first time. I have had the critique that I use so much slang, sometimes people haven't heard of half the words that I'm saying, but I feel like people get the gist.
Come
anyway,
on, surely.
I don't know if provo is too far out there. Also, it sounds a bit like provo, which is maybe a political
Or
term
povo.
back in the day, or povo, yeah. Anyway,
Probo people.
yeah,
What do you
like
do?
everyone's got some misogynistic fucking shit. Maybe a boss or a colleague or whatever. And the kind of best way to like combat it is if they sort of say something, or maybe a bit passive aggressive or whatever. You're just like, oh, what do you mean by that? Like, don't just brush it off. Just like, oh, what you mentioned that, you think, like, fuck, I don't have a good example because I don't have really any misogynists around me these days, but like, I don't know, maybe they've said something about like, made some joke about women staying in the kitchen or something.
Yeah.
Just like, what do you mean by that, Jake? And just make eye contact and kind of like
That's
pin
good.
them.
Yes, it's a total power dynamic flip when you do that, isn't it?
And it just makes, it's like, hang on, everything, like the reason that this sort of like, all these microaggressions and this misogyny and this sort of sexist like default or baseline is like made possible and allowed to continue existing so commonly because like people turn a blind eye and brush it off or just try not to react, because also we've kind of been taught like, oh, don't give them more oxygen to their flame, don't give them attention, don't make eye contact, just fucking, and it's like, actually, and like you were saying, like they just expected you to keep walking, but when you actually stopped and engaged with them, they're like, oh.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, just kind of like actually confronting them with your humanity.
Yeah.
And
or it's like you're asking them to actually think through, like, what am I actually saying here?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
What do I mean by that? And am I comfortable explicitly saying it out loud?
Yeah.
Because it's thinly veiled in the way that I treat women or the comments that I make or the jokes or whatever. But if someone were to ask me like point blank to fucking just go Trump on that shit and like explicitly say some really sexist shit, like they're going to pause and they're going to think like, why do I feel okay joking about that if I know that it wouldn't be socially acceptable to, or you know, like the ramifications of what that means about this person I'm supposedly meant to love because it's my wife and I've just said these.
Yeah.
So it's a good strategy. I love that, and I always want to be locked and loaded with like a potential retort or like way to like navigate those sorts of interactions.
Yeah.
But in the moment, because also I mostly feel pretty unprepared because it just comes out of nowhere usually.
Totally, it always comes out of nowhere.
And then there's I get a bit almost flustered because you're not expecting it, and there's all this conflicting
like social dynamics.
Yeah,
totally. Because I think in order to take the power back, that's what we'll call it, whether it's like to your racist uncle or like to someone who's catcalling you, you have to like disrupt a really entrenched social norm, and the social norm is that generally, you know, like men say what they want, or maybe like older adults say what they want, and everyone else kind of has to shut up and take it. So when you're disrupting that, even if you're a feminist at heart, you're still doing something different to like pretty much the rest of society. It's kind of hard to override that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, totally.
And also situations like that, like shake the system. Situations like that rattle you.
Well, yeah, because like safety is a thing.
Exactly.
And, like often people feel okay to do that because you are in a more vulnerable position or whatever, and you're not really, you don't have backup, or you you're vulnerable in some way, and it's fucked. So it's great to just like have that locked and loaded for like, you know, the situations where like guys are being a little bit too like sexually aggressive in the street or like whatever. That's great. I wish, do you know, the ones that frustrate me the most are like the drive-bys where you don't actually even have time to like like the sort of like whistles or shouting out of the car window or the honks and stuff. Man, that fucking jangles my nervous system every time a car drives past and like honks unexpectedly, and it just like jolts me, and I immediately get fucking furious because they're already gone and you can't do anything about that, and it's like, fuck, like,
no, you can't do anything in those. Those are,
I remember at one point, I think I don't know, maybe it had happened a bit, and I just thought maybe it was a particular place I was in and or what I was wearing, but it was happening with like a higher incidence. And I like started carrying a rock in my hand that was like perfect, like kind of size to just piss at a car if they did it. But I never got an opportunity to do it because by the time I like picked up a rock, I was like, right, that's fucking it. The next bloody car, like no one did it after that. Or maybe I
love that. Okay, this is amazing. Let's talk about this really quick because I have another story relating to this. How much revenge do you think it's like fair to exact on someone for like being a dick to you like that?
Well,
because I think you sometimes have to, right? Like you can't just, I believe peace and love worldwide, everyone's neighbors, and let's all hug.
No,
but like
I believe in
IRL,
accountability.
that's not, you can't do that, right?
No, there needs to be some accountability.
There needs to be some accountability
And like I was saying,
revenge. I am not completely against revenge. I think don't hold grudges if it runs you into the ground with anger, but like sometimes you need to take revenge.
Yeah. No, I'm there. I mean,
Right?
sometimes you can try to look for a teachable moment, and like I would, over revenge, I would prefer to actually have a dialogue and like actually make some change in the way they're behaving. But failing that, 100% not above petty revenge.
Right?
1,000,000%.
Right? And like I think throwing a rock at a car that's passing by, perfect example.
Fucking oath, especially if it's like an immediate, so like revenge that happened to a person after they'd done something and they didn't really even know that why it happened or who did it, that feels like just purely like for you.
Totally.
But I would prefer like an instantaneous kind of
100%.
consequence, not revenge, but like if they do something, oh, like they just yelled at this chick and then, oh, look at that, she's broken your window and I guess I probably was in the wrong for yelling at her in the first place. And
Yeah.
I mean, something that's a little bit more like cause and effect.
Yeah.
To be like, yo, like, don't do that, we're not standing for this.
Yeah.
Which is great because I feel like there's, well, I don't know what's great about that, but it's great that we're coming up with strategies and people seem to be a little bit more like willing to like stand up.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some good examples of it recently where like a guy's, you know, just had immediate ramifications for like the way he was treating a woman or whatever, because like, you know, the gals, we rallied around them and like, yeah, it's good to...
I think that's really good.
So I love hearing that. What
I
other
think
ones
that's
have you
really
got?
good.
How else do you fuck with people when these?
Hey, baby babes. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to pop my head into the lounge here and mention another virtual lounge that I'd love you to get around. It's the Labia Lounge Facebook group that I've created for listeners of the poddy to mingle in. There you'll find extra bits and bobs like freebies, behind the scenes, or discounts for offerings from guests who have been interviewed on the podcast. There'll also be, hopefully, inspiring, thought-provoking conversations and support from a community of labial legends like yourself. My vision for this is that it becomes a really supportive, educational and hilarious resource for you to have more access to me and a safe space to ask questions you can't ask anywhere else. So head over to the links in the show notes or look up the Labia Lounge group in Facebook and I'll see you in there. And now, back to the episode.
Well, I mean, the example that comes to mind when we're talking about revenge, where it's like not the ideal, but like you got to do it sometimes, is for my 18th. Me and my friend Bianca, we both for our 18th birthday went to Bali. Classic.
Wow, must be nice.
Classic. Our mums like helped fund it, and we like saved money, and we were like friends trip. Anyways, we went to
because
Bali.
you're in Perth, so like it's so close to Bali.
It's so close, and it's so cheap because Perth's so far away from the rest of Australia. It's cheaper to go to Bali than to come here. Mm-hmm. So it was like not that fancy, and we didn't stay somewhere that fancy. Anyways,
that's sick though.
it was great. It was a great trip, and we went to Bali. We had one big night out at a club, and that night there was this guy who was in the club. He was like a tourist as well, but he was older than us, and he kind of came up behind me. He was just kind of being gross, and we were trying to dance like away. And he came up behind me and he kissed me on the neck.
Oh, ew.
It was horrible. And it was like, you know, on the really, like if you think of the really nice part of the neck, like right at the base of the neck where there's like the bones, like it was very, like it should have been very sensual, but it was horrible because like gross, I hate him. I don't want him to kiss my neck. But it's like, it was a sexy neck kiss is what I'm saying. Anyways, I was like, I don't want to stand for this. So I turned around. It's honestly, it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. Okay, I can't get up and act it out because we're recording. But I turned around and I picked up my right leg because he was walking away because he was like trying to get away without being, you know, in trouble, whatever. I turned around, picked up my right leg, and I gave him a karate kick in the back between his shoulders. Yeah. And he didn't like fully, because he was, you know, I'm tiny and he's like a properly sized man. So he wasn't like KO'd by it, but he like really, because he was kind of drunk, he like kind of fell over and then picked himself up and he got so awkward. All his friends laughed at him. Everyone was pointing at him, laughing. He just left the club.
That is incredible.
Right?
That is so
right? I know, and I feel like it's just the best example of like everyone's like, oh, you don't know how you're going to respond till you're in that situation, and I'm like, I can't believe my response was karate kicking this guy. Like that's the coolest response ever.
That is a fucking cool response.
I haven't done anything that cool since, but it's a bit of a life highlight, so it kind of relates to this revenge thing, right? Like I don't want to beat people up, but I kind of want that thing of what you're saying of like, no, you need to send a message. You know what I mean?
Fucking oh.
Someone kisses your neck, you can't just be like,
oh, boys.
yeah, you need a strong reaction.
Yeah, no, I think like the consent stuff's definitely getting like more airtime since like we were teenagers.
Totally.
Thank fuck. And there's less of that going on in public places and like clubs and stuff than back then. Like it was it was literally like when I was a teenager, it was like almost still seen as a compliment if a guy squeezed you on the ass on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Like, non-consensually. And like, I remember that happened to me once. That like, I went to this, oh my God, I think it was my first concert. It was an underage gig at the Corner Hotel. Scribe. Okay, not a big enough reaction. I guess you grew up in Canada, so you've got an excuse, but Scribe is a fucking sick
I have no idea.
Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. He's Māori.
I bet it's great. I trust you.
He's a rapper. He's hip hop. Anyway, you'd know a couple of his songs. They're absolute bangers. But he was like such a heartthrob when I was a teenager, and he was like kind of like, he had his 2 hit singles around that time. I was probably like 15 or 16, and yeah, my friends' like parents like drove us all the way from like Yay into the fucking city. It was a big deal. So exciting. Went to this underage gig, and yeah, like some fucking seedy dude, who was probably like 18, like 17. I guess if it was underage, he might have been, 17. And I was like maybe 14 or 15. Squeezed my bum, and I like just sort of turned around and like shoved him in the chest. And I remember like everyone thinking that was so badass because that wasn't done.
Yeah, that's
like,
cool. So you've done it too then.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't karate kicked someone. I fucking wish. I wish. I mean, that is going in the repertoire. I actually like, okay, so these days, that shit does not happen to me. It never happens to me. I don't know if it's like the venues I go and the people that I hang around with or like the environments. I think that would be a big factor. And I think, I don't know, also I definitely, I don't know. I get the feeling people just know that they wouldn't be able to get away with it.
I think there's less of a culture around it, but also like if I think about when it did happen to me, because it happened to me more than once, like someone groping you, I just feel like it's kind of really dependent on the place.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a seedy place, and it's kind of like a really basic kind of like bogan crowd, I feel like it's more likely to happen.
It's surely just less these days, I don't know. But
I think it is less.
But I'm kind of like, I'm almost like sort of always like not hoping something will happen, but I'm like totally ready for it if it does. I'm like having fantasies in my head of like what I would do.
Really?
Because like I'll hear from other women like shit that's happened to them, and I'm like, oh my God, I have so much anger around these sorts of things that I think like even though not heaps of it has happened to me, especially not lately, I have like the anger of like every woman that I've ever spoken to and worked with, like just boiling away, ready to fucking take it out on some cunt that tries to pull that shit on me. So I like think about these scenarios a fair bit and like what, you know, I imagine what I would do, and like, I mean, yeah.
Do you have any top tips you think you can give anyone an idea?
I mean,
do you have any?
Not really. I can punch pretty hard. I don't know if you know.
I can punch pretty hard.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like way stronger than I look. I'm super wiry.
Whoa! Gun show alert. You can punch really hard?
Yeah, I can punch pretty hard. I punched a couple of people when I was younger, and I think I've still got it. I was a very angry teenager. I was so angry, and because my dad was a bully and a narcissist, and I got bullied at school, and I just had so much anger, and I had like a punching bag that I like got.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, hung it up like outside my bedroom, and I used to just fucking lay into it and imagine that it was people, and like have dreams where I was like able to finally like punch someone. Like I was quite like, I don't know, like there was a fair bit of like toxic testosterone-y fantasies going on. And so I was pretty ready when an opportunity presented itself because I was like, you know, and when my first boyfriend cheated on me, I like knocked him out.
What?
He, like lost consciousness just for like a couple of seconds, he reckons, but like another guy in like year 11 or 12 was, I don't know, teasing me, just being a dick, and I like warned him like to stop, and I was like, I think I said like, I'm gonna punch you, and he was like, ha 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 ha, and so I was like, right, and then he had this like, it was like in this classroom, all this like yellow fluid just pissed out of his nose. It was quite scary because I was like, oh my God, is that brain fluid? Like, what's happening here? Like, because I hit him in the cheek. I didn't even punch him in the nose. And he had two black eyes the next day.
Whoa.
So I was like, whoa, okay, I don't know.
You must have punched him so hard.
Or like maybe in a particular spot that's quite fragile and does like more damage or something. I don't know because I don't know about it, but I know like, you know, you do have to be careful. So I punched a couple of people and I'm fucking stronger than people think I am. Yeah. I've done a lot of like boxing in my dreams, you know, when I was younger. Not so much anymore. I'm not really an angry person anymore. I was a really angry teenager, but I'm pretty chill nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think about punching people very often, but I would, you know, I 100% wouldn't hesitate if there was call for it. And I think like, fuck being the bigger person, fuck like taking that shit, like, and, you know, using your words instead of your fists. Like, sometimes that doesn't fucking work. And often the men that do the shit don't respect that shit. So, you know, obviously it's not safe sometimes to do that because maybe then they would retaliate physically. But if you're in a public place...
I mean, we're not telling anyone to go punch...
punch some people. No. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if it's called for,
sometimes you have to.
I mean, I get around the non-violent communication stuff for sure, but I think it's kind of bullshit that men have kind of gotten away with that sort of behaviour for so long. So, you know, if you can, karate kick him in the fucking back.
I mean, it's just... it's sick, but I just feel like... I don't know. On one hand, I really want to vouch for violence when it's needed, but on the other hand, I just think that's adding to the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it probably is. Yeah. But, and you know, like, I have, obviously never actually really done it to, like, a fucking dude coming onto me or on a dance floor or whatever. I've tried to have a constructive conversation with them, but you know, like, sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yep. Nah, I think like just safety wise, it probably wouldn't be.
I think it's honestly not a great strategy.
No.
Really, and like, I mean,
get back at them in other ways. Maybe maybe just like emasculating.
I think throwing a rock at a car is a great idea, and I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend it, if you know what I mean.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because like you're battling like a lot of injustice and unfairness and like anger and powerlessness and helplessness, and you just sometimes it's like and I really like, I think women especially doing like self-defense classes or martial arts or something like that makes them feel really strong in their body and capable and less vulnerable is like always going to be a good thing.
Totally.
We shouldn't have to, but like, you know, it's good to have. Not that I've fucking done anything like that. I really should.
I mean, like, on one hand I agree, like, I think it would make a lot more sense to just have like self-defense moves that were reliable and didn't like just rely on just like random violence. But also, that means, are you telling me I now have to like take up a full-time hobby and practice self-defense for multiple hours a week just so I can peacefully defuse an attack? Like, no, I'd rather just throw a rock at someone's car. It sounds easier.
Oh my God.
Right?
I'd rather just like sexually intimidate them right back and ask them to take their top off in public and objectify them.
Exactly.
I loved that because that's like so perfect. It's literally just giving back the same medicine.
Exactly. Like, it just feels like... And And that's I guess why when I started this topic I was thinking I really like messing with people, because I think messing with people is like you were saying, it kind of like changes the power dynamic
without having to
without
physically
physically harming someone,
or putting yourself at physical risk, because you've initiated a physical attack. But okay, cool. So I've come full circle on that. Don't physically assault anyone, guys, but
mess with people as much as you want. I mean, everyone's doing that already, really. But let's have some more feminist messing with people, please.
Yeah, what are some other things you could kind of... Because,
you really have to wait until someone instigates it. That's the hard thing, is all these situations I can think of is I couldn't have planned what I did. You have to just know in your mind. It's kind of like manifesting. You don't know what you're going to say, but you have to be ready for the opportunity so that when it comes, you're ready to embrace it.
I feel like so many people just go straight into fight or flight when there's a situation like that, though.
Yeah,
I definitely
so. I guess so. It's hard to override your fight or flight.
Yeah, I usually think of all this awesome shit I could have said as I'm walking away, because my kind of default when someone's trying to mess with me in some way, I think was instilled when I was a kid, and it was all very sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me, so just keep your eyes forward and ignore them. Don't retaliate, don't speak back, don't engage. Bullies want your attention and energy, but just don't give them the satisfaction. So when people would call out names, they were these teenage boys that were 2 year levels younger than me. How humiliating. How fucking humiliating. And they I don't know what they had against me. I didn't fucking know them. They were in a younger year level. But they I was teased a bit about being quite hairy, my arms and my back. And they used to just scream out, "Freya's got a hairy muff," and call me hairy muff. And just call that out while I was walking around the school. And so I just never ever engaged or looked at them. But it sucked. And I was so fucking furious, but I've still got this freeze response where I just ignore them and keep moving. Yeah. Kind of really drilled into me from
It's so hard to know what to do, because I think ignore them and keep moving. Really, if you're trying to conserve energy and you can move away from it, it's a good idea. Yeah. But I kind of feel what you're describing,
I don't want them to get away with it,
people
though.
Like that, exactly. I feel sometimes you need to,
bring the party to them. And that's why, they're oh, what? So, guys, what do you mean by that? I mean, I'm a big fan of just
with my muff? You know what I mean?
I think your approach is so sassy and I love it. My approach is more trying to humanize them and be hey guys, that's not a very nice thing to say and it really hurts my feelings. So I try to try to get some empathy out of them, whereas you're just sassing them, which is great. I think I'd prefer a bit of that. It feels more funny. Charlie's Angels, whereas mine feels more
Charlie's Angels. Yeah. You're ready for your interview, hey? Yours is let me have this teachable moment with these young men.
Oh God. Sick. That's
So messing with people. I kind of like doing it.
Excuse this quick interruption. I'm shamelessly seeking reviews and 5-star ratings for the potty because, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, it's pretty fab, and the more people who get to hear it, the more people I can help with it. Reviews and ratings actually do make a big difference to this little independent podcaster, and it's really easy to just quickly show your support by taking that simple act of either leaving 5 stars for the show on Spotify, or even better, writing a written review and leaving 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts. Or if you're a real overachiever, you can do them both. That would be mad. If you're writing a review, though, just be sure to use G-rated words, because despite the fact that this is a podcast about sexuality, words like sex can be censored and your review won't make it through the gates. Lame. Anyway, I would personally recommend doing that right now while you remember, just to get on top of it and let me know you're with me on this journey. Thanks, gang. Enjoy the rest of the epi.
Use your powers for good, people. Use them to take down the patriarchy. Don't mess with innocent characters in your life. Not that the people in your life are characters. They're all humans and you have to treat them with respect. Just me slowly revealing how twisted I am.
Did
and
you
then
just
I'm
have a
manipulating
really
everyone.
autistic moment?
No, that's just actually how I think, and then I have to remember that I have to not sound crazy sometimes.
But is
so
that,
yeah, I guess
is that
it's
how,
an autistic moment.
Yeah, because that's sort of like how you learn to mask, is like almost seeing things as a role play and you playing the role that the character that you think
Totally. And I mean, this is a bit of a tangent now, but this used to be my absolute favorite thing about my engineering career when I worked at Shell was most of what you have to do in that job is just be really good at playing the game. Like the social business, climbing the ladder, doing the right thing at meetings, knowing the right people game.
Whoa.
And being like the right combo of like trustworthy but also like kind of cutthroat and really assertive. And I love that shit. And the reason that I think the reason maybe that I can come up with these quips and that I'm looking at everything like this is because like all of my social skills have been like learned it hasn't been natural, so I've had to really study it to work it out, and now I have all this extra, so that's why I'm saying use it for good. Use your autistic skills for good, please, out there.
That's so fucking cool, because like when people are like, you'll be fine, just be yourself, I'm like what other choice do I have? Like I'm literally, it's what you see is what you get, and obviously I can put on a more professional voice, or I can be like extra nice and like schmooze or whatever if I'm trying to like, get someone's parents to like me or get a job or whatever. Of course I can be a little bit more polished or something, but I cannot play a character or a role that isn't just naturally me. Like, really? So it's wild because like hearing how you can almost, it's like I guess kind of like code switching a little bit.
Yeah, it totally is. 100%. That's what it is. Yeah,
and you have this ability to tap into different personas. Oh my god, like your Australian accent. What the fuck?
And that Australian accent, like that's not normal. Like that's not.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could do it?
I could probably do it. I wouldn't know what to say.
I mean, you could remember how when we had the phone call, you just switched.
I know.
It's a lot of pressure, though.
It's
a lot of pressure, but maybe I'll just give some context. So Hannah moved here when you were how old?
So I moved here when I was like 3, and I spoke French with my mum because my mum's French Canadian. So I learned French as my first language, and then I moved to Queensland. So I learned. I'm so rusty. I can tell I'm like my O's are not shaped correctly, but this is the best I've got right now. Anyways, I moved to Queensland and I learned English in an Australian accent because up to that point I only spoke French. But then after that we moved to like an international school in Africa, and most people had like these weird hybrid accents. So I just went back to Canadian. And then when I came back here, I switched to an Australian accent on purpose. When I was talking to my friends and when I was at school, and I did it all the way up until 3rd year of university. I talked in an Australian accent, and look, it was a lot better than this. Like I haven't done this accent now in like years, and I pulled it up for Freya the other day, maybe like a month ago or something.
I lost my fucking mind.
Yeah. So it does feel like quite clunky, but I convinced everyone this was my voice, and then in 3rd year university when I changed to my Canadian accent, everyone was like, what the fuck?
Dude, you'd be such an incredible actor.
I know, and you know what? I didn't just do it with the Australian accent. I also, when I was a kid, I loved Harry Potter. I mean, obviously, it's like the coolest ever. Like Harry Potter, everyone loves Harry Potter. I got obsessed with their accents, and I used to do it with their accents too. Like I'd just kind of just go into that accent and just do it.
I used to do accents heaps as a kid too. 1, I wanted to be an actress, and 2, I think you just love like copying different accents. And if I was hanging out with either watching a British movie like Harry Potter or like hanging out with someone with a British accent, I would just sort of naturally go into it. But I don't think I was like as like talented as you. Like you're actually nailing the accent.
Thank you so much.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
So when I found this out, that was like so fascinating, and that's because you're elite at masking because of the autism.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Do the accents, and I don't use it anymore, but I really like doing like a really over the top accent, like when it's contextually funny. So it's fun to be able to whip it out now.
Oh my god, dude! Because no one can do the Aussie accent very well. Like,
I
if you
know.
see people playing Australians in movies that aren't from here, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like
It's
a
so
combo
bad.
between like British and South African and Kiwi. And
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, okay. It's very obvious to us native Australian, native Aussie accent speakers to like. I've already forgot what I was fucking saying. That was a really long sentence. 'Cause
It's obvious when someone can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yours is like almost flawless.
It's
like you could fully.
almost, I know, and I really wish,
You should practice it more on me.
yeah, maybe. I really wish you could have heard me do it when I could like actually do it.
Yeah.
Because when I used to do it, I used to like really do it. Like, I used to be so, like people used to say to me that I sounded like a news presenter because my voice was just like crisp and perfect. Like every word that I said was like perfectly formed.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, this is a conscious process. This is not my voice.
Yeah.
But I had
And
like a
you'd
really
probably,
crisp.
copied news presenters.
I mean,
and,
yeah, maybe. I mean, I
like,
would have just
learned
who
from-
knows what I'm copying.
Dude, that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
I'm
anyways.
so like tickled that you just pulled out the Aussie accent for the podcast and like very grateful because I feel like when I'm put on the spot to do an accent, I panic.
It's the worst. And
It's the worst. It's like
the
a
worst.
comedian, being told like, "Hey, do a joke." Like, fuck off. I
Yeah.
don't like feeling like a performing monkey or whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm grateful that you just took one for the team and you fucking just got over any nerves or weirdness and did it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Whoa. It looks
Maybe
like it's gonna
I'll
storm.
it really does. Yeah. Should we go?
Yeah,
should we
maybe we
leave?
should go. We're just at
been-
we're currently at the public swimming pool. It's being cute as.
But we're the only babes here.
We are absolutely.
We are the only babes
Except
here.
for all those little
Except the ducks.
ducklings.
The ducks are babes.
Mad babes.
I mean,
Would bang. Sorry, I always have to take it too far.
would you?
It's bang a duck. Are you kidding? No
No,
way. They have
if you
those like
were-
spiral dicks that
No.
like get lodged in the vag or the cloaca.
I was gonna say, if you were a furry, would you like go for duck type? Would you like, if someone was dressed as a duck, would it put you off or turn you on?
Honestly, I mean, are you thinking of the Olympic mascot duck that was real? Was he the
Was there
hot
a
one?
hot duck?
Have
I missed
Oh no,
a
it's a
hot duck?
platypus. I'm thinking of the bill.
Oh.
The bill. The platypus was like the hot one though,
Hot
right?
platypus? Really?
Didn't we have this conversation about the Olympic mascots, which is like why we were getting a tattoo of?
Oh,
So out of when it was in like Nikki Webster Olympics, like 2000?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
Yeah. Or 2004. Yeah, she. Those Olympic mascots. There's one of them that's like a hunk, and I think it's the platypus.
That makes sense.
Might be the echidna though. It's just
The
muscly as.
echidna?
No, not the echidna. I can't remember what they look like.
The
We got them
platypus
up.
makes sense because you could kind of wear a morph suit, and if you've got a
And
good bod,
was
you'd look
his
good.
name Ozzy? I don't know, but we looked it up. We had this whole conversation. We looked up all the different cartoon, like Olympic
I remember
mascots from
that.
all the different countries. And yeah, I think I just got mixed up thinking about the hot.
Oh, you mean the
platypus.
drawings of the mascots?
drawings of the
Yeah, the
mascots.
the platypus is fuckable, but
Yeah.
only if you are looking at cartoons and choosing which one you want to fuck. Like, it's not.
Oh, obviously.
He's not actually fuckable, right? He's just a platypus.
No, of course. I feel like that was unnecessary to mention.
I
think
feel
that's,
like
subject-
I feel like I was thinking he was really sexy or something. I'm imagining like human body platypus head. Like, is that what we're thinking? But no, we're not.
Oh no,
no,
I mean,
I was
okay.
thinking of like a really sexy platypus.
in a human
I don't
brain
know,
with a
I'm-
human brain.
Yeah, human. Like, I was thinking like furry style, sexy human platypus. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking furry still in my mind.
You were thinking, well, we were talking about ducks, and then I derailed us because I thought of
Yeah.
a platypus because of the bill.
And I thought it was a human dressed as a platypus. Looking hot. You could
I'm
wear like
just
a
like-
little fur like underwear and
I
a big
mean-
platypus helmet, and you'd look hot. If you had a good body, you'd be all right, right?
No doubt. I'm sure there's a way to make anything look hot, honestly. But it's all about the person underneath for me. So
Aww.
no, like how hot are they?
Okay.
But also,
Yeah, I don't care about who you
are
are.
they a
as
beautiful person? Yeah, no, but I'm just not. I'm not kinky enough to be into like furry like costumes.
No,
and
look,
stuff,
like
so.
I'm not. It's not super my thing either. But I'm just saying, if you had to choose, would you
I
choose
probably
a
wouldn't
duck?
go dark.
No, what would you go?
I don't know, something more like marketably sexy.
Okay, like what,
without a spiral
leopard?
dick that like
A
lodges.
leopard?
Yeah,
lion?
probably some sort of like big cat or
Big cats are like the classic.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually can't even
Sexy
put my
panther,
brain
maybe.
in
I think
the,
you'd go panther.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you choose.
No, you'd
for
go
me, I don't
lion.
even-
It's just like a tan boy, but in a cat form.
Ooh, with a big like handful of mane.
Yeah, you'd love that shit.
Yeah, I like some long hair. Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And now you're like realizing that you might be into lion furries.
Bro, I feel
Don't
like
Google
half
it.
of our friendship,
Don't
the memes
Google
that you
it.
guys have made have been about me getting into furryism. But did you listen to the episode I did with Liam about furries?
Oh no, James has listened to it. I haven't
Mate.
listened to it.
Oh my god,
I
you've got to.
haven't.
Everyone, listen to the episode about furries. I think it's called like Yiff Hard or Go Home or Yiff Life or something.
Yeah.
And yiffing is the term for like furry sex.
Furry sex, yeah.
Which Hannah and Hannah's husband James like told me about this term, and we had this ongoing joke about, well, not joke, but like fascination, really.
Yeah.
And like we would send each other content about furries, and then I got the opportunity to actually interview someone who's a furry and like talk about it all on podcast, and Hannah hasn't even fucking deigned to listen to it. I basically did it for you, babe. No, it was mostly for James. He made all the best memes about furries. Oh god, I reckon we should call it and
let's
walk
call it.
home because it looks like it's about to thunderstorm.
Let's do it.
Great, good stuff. But I wanna. So that was a little taster about the neurospicy. Ew! I thought that was a band-aid I had stuck on my foot that wasn't mine, but it was a wristband. We're gonna have another chat as a follow-up epi about Hannah's journey with being diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and all the cool things you've been learning about how your brain works and how to navigate life now that you understand that better. And that's all been very fascinating to be kind of alongside you while you're journeying with that. And then what was the other thing we wanted to talk about? Your abortion.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I didn't. My miscarriage.
Oh yeah, sorry, miscarriage. Yeah. So I think this will be like a 3-part fucking episode.
Whoa.
Stay tuned.
Hey, me again. If you'd like to support the potty and you've already given it 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, I want to mention that you can buy some really dope merch from the website and get yourself a Labia Lounge tote, tee, togs. Yep, you heard that right. I even have Labia Lounge bathers. Or a cute fanny pack if that'd blow your hair back. So if fashion isn't your passion though, you can donate to my Buy Me a Coffee donation page, which is actually called Buy Me a Soy Chai Latte, because I'll be the first to admit I'm a bit of a Melbourne cafe tosser like that. And yes, that is my coffee order. You can do a once-off donation or an ongoing membership and sponsor me for as little as 3 fat ones a month. And I also offer one-on-one coaching and online courses that'll help you level up your sex life and relationship with yourself and others in a really big way. So every bit helps, because it ain't cheap to put out a sweet podcast into the world every week out of my own pocket. So I will be undyingly grateful if you support me and my biz financially in any of these ways. And if you like, I'll even give you a mental BJ with my mind from the lounge itself. Saucy. And I'll pop the links in the show notes. Thank you. Later.
And that's it, darling hearts. Thanks for stopping by the Labia Lounge. Your bum groove in the couch will be right where you left it, just waiting for you to sink back in for some more double L action next time. If you'd be a dear and subscribe, share this episode, or leave a review on iTunes, then you can pat yourself on the snatch, because that's a downright act of sex-positive feminist activism, and you'd be supporting my vision to educate, empower, demystify and destigmatize with this here podcast. I'm also always open to feedback, topic ideas that you'd love to hear covered, questions or guest suggestions, so feel free to get in touch via my website or over on Insta. You can also send me in TMI stories to be shared anonymously on the pod. My handle is freyagraph_the Labia Lounge. If my account hasn't been deleted for being too sex positive, which, is always a possibility with censorship. But just in case the chronic censorship finally does obliterate my social channels, I'd highly recommend going and joining my mailing list and snagging yourself some fun freebies for the trouble at www.freyagraph.com/freebies. Anyway, later, labial legends. See you next time.